Hi, I'm Kieran Garvey, and this is my submission for the WeatherTOP web companion app. I managed to release 3 with extra features. I've added in the time and date, the wind direction, the pressure, code, time, speed, for readings. The stations has the name, it has the longitude, latitude, wind compass, wind chill. I have the latest weather for the temperature, wind speeds, wind direction, pressure. I have the trends added in. User can edit their profile, but I didn't allow them edit their email. You got login, log out. I've got delete account. Members can have multiple stations, and each station can have multiple readings. I added in graphs into my stations. So basically, once you have more than 3 entries, graphs using Google Graphs, it graphs out the entries. It's deployed. Got GitHub with a repo. It's got history and all the necessary tags. I feel that I'm entitled to 95 to 100% of payment because I met all the requirements and added in a few extra features. Anyway, welcome to my WeatherTOP app. We've got a home page, an about page, and the stations page. The stations page just displays a list of all stations. For member creation, I've used JavaScript to check the forms. It actually checks that emails are correct, that there's something in each box, that the password is 7 characters, that the passwords actually match. Oh, there's also a notification saying the member was signed up successfully. You can use capitals in the email if you want. It goes off and checks to see if your username and password match, and if it doesn't let you in. When you log in, it directs you straight to the dashboard page. My menus change when you're logged in and logged out. I've got a log out button. You can go to the profile page, and on the profile page you can actually edit a user. Basically, also from the profile page, I actually added in a delete account. So basically, you can actually delete account, and I use modals to pop up to confirm just in case it was clicked by accident. And then a notification pops up telling you the account was deleted successfully. When a user signs up, there's no actual station set up. They can actually create one straight away. The member is redirected to the station they've just created. They can enter a reading, and it creates their first actual reading. If they go back to their dashboard, they have delete station, they have view readings. The delete station is a modal pop-up to confirm that they want to delete the station. I have trends and graphs added in. The trends work if it's increasing in 3 or decreasing in 3. What happens is the graphs are drawn based on all the readings. The pressure is done with HPA, wind is done with Beaufort, and temperature is done in degrees Fahrenheit. I have the trends both here and here, minimum and maximum values. I have all the latest readings. I've added in an edit feature where I can edit the readings. Let's just edit 2 of the options here now and press edit, and it redisplays them as it should. The delete readings ask you for confirmation again as the other ones with a modal, and when you actually delete a reading, it will delete the correct reading. I'm going to talk you through my code. What I'll start with is the signing up process. So basically, if a user visits the sign up link, it calls the root file, and it actually looks for the sign up link, which in turn goes to my accounts controller and the function sign up. In the function sign up, what actually happens is I display an entry into the logger, and then I actually redirect them to the sign up HTML file. Now, what the sign up HTML file does is it renders the form and all the code on the screen. My form calls a function called validate register form on submit, which is JavaScript function, which actually checks one, if any of the input boxes are empty. It also, for the passwords, it checks that both passwords are the same to make sure they match. and for emails it actually checks that it's a valid email format. If after the validation is all correct and everything's entered correctly, basically my form calls the register URL. Basically where this links us back into the accounts.java controller again, and it calls the register function. It goes to the root first, and then it calls into the accounts.register. And basically what I do in here, it accepts in all the parameters you've entered in the form, goes and sees if the member exists already. If the member already exists or the email is already in use, it displays it back to the user. If the password length is not long enough, it displays the message back to the user. If the email doesn't exist and the password length is greater than or equal to 7, it actually goes off and it actually creates the user and redirects the user to the logon page. Basically, there's another form on the logon page. What happens is it goes and it asks you for your email and your password. You enter your email and password, and it calls the authenticate link. It posts them all into authenticate, and basically your route here for authenticate sends you to your accounts controller, and then onto your authenticate function, your accounts controller again. The authenticate function accepts in your email and your password. It makes a log into the logger. It goes and tries to find the member. If the member exists and the password is right, it lets the member in and sets the session to log the user in and redirects them to the dashboard. If the member doesn't exist, authentication fails, is sent to the logger, and the user is redirected back to the logon page. Same if the password is incorrect. Authentication failed is sent to the logger. We have a logon failed message created with wrong password, and then we render the logon HTML file with the logon failed error message. If you click the view add readings on the dashboard, it renders the actual station, the link station /124, which is 124 is actually the ID of the station. The dashboard HTML file calls that with the link station and then station ID, which is the actual ID of the station you were just looking at. The dashboard.html creates the link that actually links the person to the station and the station ID, which this is passed into the root, and basically the station ID is sent to the station control and the index function. The index function takes in a parameter of station ID. What we do is we get the logged in member, then we use that member to get a list of all of that member's stations, and then we loop through that member's stations. And what we're doing really is checking that if the passed in station ID is belonged to that member. If it is, we display the station. We get the station details, we calculate the conditions for the station, and then we pass the station into the station that HTML file. If it's not the station member, we just load the station ID. And if the member wasn't logged in, we load them back to the logon. What the station HTML file does is it sets the menu, and we add in the add reading partial. The add reading partial is put in the form, so we can add a new reading. Then basically we add the latest readings, which displays the weather widget, which is the one on the left hand side, and it creates the latest reading in the middle with all the values in the latest reading, and then it creates the temperature trends and settings over here. If we have more than 3 readings, we call our graph trends to display our graph trends. Basically, when you load up the graph trends, the first thing it does is it calls graph trends.js. I did it like this. I created the JS file in a separate HTML tag in order to be able to use Java to build the data tables for Google Graphs. The graph trends.js HTML file builds all the data for the graphs, and the graph trends.html is what actually displays it. Then after that we add the list readings partial, which basically loops through all the different readings for that station and displays them to the user.